Hey guys, welcome. For those who don't know me, my name is Anaya Lucas. I am empowerment strategist, life coach, author, and speaker. And this is my new book, Single, Saved, and Content. And that's what I'll be talking about tonight. Before anything, on Saturday, I'm gonna have the sequel of this on IG. So if you don't follow me yet, go ahead and follow me on IG, because on Saturday I'm gonna have a guest, and her name is Jasmine, and she's a grief and loss coach, and we will be talking about heartbreak. And the title is Everybody Hates Heartbreak. And guess what? This is from chapter 2 of my book. I don't know if you guys can see it. Chapter 2 is Everybody Hates Heartbreak. So we'll be talking about that on Saturday next week. Jasmine talk about loss of relationship and all of that. So we'll have her own insight and my insight. So it's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to it, and you guys should too. But tonight I want to talk about complacency. I know that's not a word that is just thrown out there, or people may not hear it as much, but it's something that we do a lot. We get complacent a lot more than we talk about it. And sometimes we think we're being content while we are actually being complacent. So complacency, I was intrigued by the word when I saw it actually in Isaiah. And there was a place where God was talking, and then he was saying, you complacent women, you need to start mourning. You need to start crying and remove your fine clothing and clothe yourself in sack and start weeping because you are being complacent. And I was so intrigued by that, and I said, let me see what complacent really means, because I've heard it in sermons, and I've heard people talking about it, but I never really knew what it really means. And so when I looked at it, it says that being complacent is when you are overly happy in a state where there's actually danger ahead, and you are so oblivious, you so blind, you don't even know there is danger awaiting. And when I was thinking about it, though, the thing that came to my mind is a child. And I was like, okay, maybe that's what God wanted me to see. Like, it's a picture of a child. That's what I see. A child that is super happy and dancing, and then there's water on the floor. You know, like there can be like water on the floor, like on the inside, and then they dancing and there's water on the floor. You as an adult, you already see like this is a disaster waiting to happen, because this child can just slip and fall because the water ends on the floor. But that child, they see the water, but they don't know the danger. They don't know about the danger that can actually happen and waiting to happen, because they're heading toward that. But you as an adult, you already see it and you can prevent it. So this is the way I'm seeing, like, for a lot of us. So we get so complacent, and that can be in, I know I talk about relationship, but that can be at your job, that can be at anything in life. You can get complacent, and one of the things that make people get complacent without them really realizing it is success. You did something in the past and you succeeded, and you are so focused on that thing that you succeeded in, and then you started getting complacent without you even realizing it. And you get complacent is when you are so happy about something that God did in the past, and then he's over here doing a new thing, but you can't even perceive it because you are so focused in the past. That's why God said, behold, I'm doing a new thing. And then he's saying for us to see. We need to see the new thing that God is doing. He's saying he's going to make a way in the wilderness, but we can miss that way. He's saying that he's going to make water spring in the desert, but we can miss that if we are so focused on what he did when he parted the Red Sea. So he's saying like he's doing a new thing, but we need to be alert. We need to have discernment for us to see when there's a new thing being done. So in the book, I talk about not being complacent when it comes to relationship. So sometimes some people, they can be single, they think they are content, but they are actually being complacent. It's like there's nothing else. There is nothing else beyond that. So being single, I talk about it as being a gift. It's the moment, it's the present, you are alive, and you have a lot of things for you to be grateful for. But if you were not given the gift of being single for the rest of your life, if you were not given the gift of celibacy, then there's a possibility that you would get married. So the thing is, you shouldn't be so complacent in your singleness that when God is calling you to next, which should be marriage in that case, and then for you to miss it because you think you being content, but you actually missing on something that God is doing. That's why I usually talk about people and say you need to focus on the giver and not the gift. So if we consider singleness as a gift, and then you focus so much on being single, and then you are so complacent about being single, you're overly happy in that season and not seeing anything else that can come out of that or anything else that can come in the future, then you're being complacent because God can do something else. So when I talk about the difference of being complacent and being actually content, I said being content is when you are happy where you are, but you are anticipating and being excited about the future. I'm gonna say that again. So being content is when you are happy where you are, but you are excited about the future. You are anticipating the future with enthusiasm. That's when you are actually content. But when you're complacent, it's basically saying that's all that God can do. He parted the Red Sea, that's all he can do. So I'm gonna hold on to that. God actually give us manna in the wilderness, so that's all he can do. So I'm gonna hold on to that. No, God, I'm so happy with what you've given me. I'm so happy with what you've done for me, and now it's time for next. Like, I'm happy to see what you're gonna do next. I'm happy to see what is gonna come next in the future, what awaits me. So I'm excited about the future. But when you're complacent, you're only looking at the past, what already happened, and then you're holding on to that. And that's putting God in a box. That's saying that, limiting God and saying like that's all he can do. So in the book, I talk about being complacent, and I was talking about heartbreak, and of course I was talking about because that was a story about when I was a teenager. I'm not gonna go into much detail about that. It was a story about when I was a teenager and I liked the boy and something like that. So I was saying like how unjust is life when you actually like someone and then they don't like you back. I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one who has had that experience where you really like somebody but then they don't like you. They like somebody else. And it's so hard when the person they actually like is someone who's close to you, or is someone that you know and you can see it, and for you to live that, oh my gosh, I really like him but he like her, or I really like her but she likes him. So it can get really hard. But I was talking about that not being complacent, because sometimes if you like somebody else in the past, they don't like you, and then you trying to be content in your singleness, you're like, okay, so I'm gonna be content, it's just me and God or whatnot, or I'm in the waiting, and all of those terminologies that we use as Christians for us to talk about singleness. Oh, I'm in the waiting, I'm waiting on God, and all of that. We can get complacent when we are at this moment. When we are at this point, it's easy for us to get complacent because we want it to be just us and God. When we get complacent, it's like we're not even anticipating marriage anymore because, okay, I'm unlucky. Some people even say they're unlucky in love. So they get so complacent where they're like, okay, there's nothing that can come out of that. I cannot have a love life because I'm unlucky in love. Everyone that I liked in the past, they don't like me, or they treated me unfairly, they were abusive to me, or anything that had happened. I ended up losing the relationship after years and years of investing in that, so on and so forth. That can happen. So people can get complacent, where they're like, okay, it's just me and God. That's for people who are Christians. People who are non-Christians, they're like, oh, you know what, love doesn't exist, or I'm not even gonna try anymore, or I'm just gonna have fun and that is it. I'm not gonna try to, be in a relationship or be in a serious relationship anymore. So I talk about being complacent in that sense. So I'm gonna read just a little bit of a quote that I have on there, and it's an article about the laws of success, but it actually talk about honor, and say it's by Emmanuel. I can say his last name, Makandiwa, I think. It say, what you honor you attract, what you despise you repel. Say, everything that you despise will be kept away from you. If it is knowledge, it will be kept away from you. If you despise marriage, it will be kept away from you. And I went on after that quote, end of quote, and I said, yes, God will send his best your way, but it will require your participation. And the mindset that you have while you're single plays a significant role. Now the choice is yours. Will you honor marriage? Will you honor what you truly desire, or will you repel it? So it's talking about the laws of success, and it talks about marriage, because there are people who succeed in marriage or in relationship as a whole, and there are people who don't. So it's saying that whatever we honor, we attract. Whatever we repel, whatever we despise, we repel. So it's just saying, like, it's a law. It's like a nature. It's something that is natural. If you honor something, you attract it to you. And so a lot of people, after being heartbroken, they tend to despise relationship. They tend to despise relationship as a whole. And so when you despise that, you're actually repelling it. You're pushing it away from you. So if you really want to be married, if you really want a successful relationship, a successful marriage, you shouldn't despise marriage. You shouldn't push it away, because when you despise it, you repel it. You're supposed to honor it. Yes, I'm not there yet. I want to get married, but I'm not there yet, but I'm gonna honor it. I'm going to honor marriage. I'm not going to despise it. I'm not going to talk bad about marriage and saying that, oh, no marriage is worth it, or seeing other people's marriage and be like, oh, and being that hater, about marriage, and be like, oh, look at them, they acting like lovebirds and stuff, but oh, they're not happy for real, and all of that. That whole negative vibe toward marriage is not a good thing. If you really want something, you should honor it. And even in the Bible, it tells us that we need to honor marriage. That's why it's talking about adultery. It's saying not to commit adultery. It's because that we need to honor marriage. And it says that the marital bed need to be kept pure. So even if you are not married, you need to honor other people's relationship. Even if you're not married, it's not just your marriage for you to honor. You need to honor other people's marriage and other people's relationship. Just because it's not yours doesn't mean that you have the right for you to despise it. Because when you despise it, you're repelling it. So you shouldn't be complacent, get so complacent in your singleness that you are despising something you actually want from God. When you honor it, you're gonna attract it. And if you despise it, you repel it. God said, don't despise the times of small beginning. And that goes for marriage too. While you're in your singleness, do not despise other people's relationship. Do not despise the marriage. Because when you despise it, you're repelling it. So I wanted to talk to you about complacency. I can't see the comments. I think you have to look at my thing. He said the book sounds so good. Oh, sure. It's on my website. It's on my website. I have my website with the live. I'll add it. And my website should be on my, yeah, my website is on my bio, my link where it say intro. My website is there, and the book is on the website. So yeah, and I have questions. I have questions there, but I'll just ask probably like one of them. Let me see. People, it's, yeah. I'm like, how do you handle heartbreaks? I know everybody handled that differently. I cry. I'm a crybaby. I cry. When I'm heartbroken, I cry. But everybody reacts differently. So in the book, I also have like questions. I have questions. Like this whole part, like that's questions. After each chapter, I have certain questions to allow the readers to reflect on themselves, and also for them to relate. If it's a story, or I even include any story in the book, I ask the questions to for the readers so that they can really relate to the story and think about it. Not for you to just read and be like, feel like you're reading my story, even if you can connect to it or can relate to it. But I actually ask questions in the end, and like, have this ever happened to you? How did you handle it? What did you do? So on and so forth. So yeah, check it out, buy it, read it, and then leave a review. I'd like that. So yeah, I wanted to talk, yeah, that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about for today. I wanted to talk about, yeah, for you to be aware of complacency, because it can kill. Complacency can kill. There's a quote when I was doing the research on complacency, I think it's Miles Monroe, that say that quote, but I don't remember it, so I can't even quote it to you. But it was basically saying that complacency kill a lot of, what was it, dreams and things like that. So basically, because when you're so overly happy with what you have already accomplished, you don't continue to pursue what you would want to pursue. You don't continue to pursue what your purpose, because you're so complacent and you stay where you are, while you could be going a lot further than that. So it's basically killing your ambitions and your drives and your motivations, and because you're already successful because of one thing that you accomplished. You're like me, for example, I'd be like, oh, I wrote a book, and I keep talking about, oh my gosh, I wrote a book. Okay, then what's next? Like, I wrote a book, thank God, praise God for that, enjoy that, celebrate that. And then there's more. I'm writing a second book, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing that. This is the plan for next year, or next 2 years, next 5 years. God never called you to be complacent, because being complacent leads to stagnation. Complacency leads to stagnation. And when you're stagnant, you're not moving. And God did not call you to just stay one there. Say, follow me, I'll make you. No, follow me and I'll make you. You need to be walking. You walk with God. And that's something that we use. We say we walk with God, not like we stand by God. We walk with Him. So we can't be complacent, because God is like always doing something new and finding another way of doing something. Sometimes He would part the water. Other times He would walk on it. So we need to be discerning so we can see what God is about to do. He's always on to something. Sometimes He would resurrect somebody while they're taking the corpse to the cemetery. Other times He will wait for them to be in the grave for 4 days. Sometimes He would heal the sick, and other times He would take a sweet time, and then when they died, He go and He resurrect them. So we're not serving a God that is monotone for us to be staying where we are and just be complacent with where we are or what we've accomplished and what we've done. And that goes for our relationship too. So if you're single, don't get complacent. I know I talk a lot about being content in your singleness, but make sure that that contentment does not turn into complacency, because complacency leads to stagnation and you can just stay there. When God has a purpose for you to be in a godly marriage and give birth to saviors, life changers, but you get so complacent and you stay, you remain single, and then you miss out on that. Imagine if Elizabeth was never married. Like, she was somebody who was single and then she was complacent and she remained, and she's like, oh, I'm never gonna get married. Where would John the Baptist be? God had a purpose for him to be the voice that bear witness to the light. Jesus talked about him saying that he was the greatest prophet. You know, we're talking about Elijah, but yeah, they say like he had the spirit of Elijah. But Jesus said like he was the greatest prophet. So imagine that if Elizabeth never got married. God has purpose, and that goes with every area of our lives. So when we're thinking of everything in our lives, we need to think about the kingdom. What will bring God glory? In our singleness, we give God glory. When it's time for us to get married, in that relationship, we will bring God glory. We bring his kingdom down in our relationship. And then to implement that in our kids, and for that legacy to keep going until Jesus comes back. So don't be complacent in your singleness. Be happy, content, of course, absolutely. Enjoy every moment of it. Be happy. Enjoy it in the Lord, though. I'm not saying to go do things that you're not supposed to be doing in your singleness. So enjoy that in the Lord, for the kingdom. Be a kingdom-minded single person for God's glory. And do the things that you know that you may not be able to do when you get married. Like traveling would be probably a lot harder for you to do when you get married, more responsibilities, kids and stuff like that. And school, if you want to go back education-wise, like going back, continuing education or something else that you have always wanted to do, learn something new, do it. Because now you have more time and your priorities are you. Basically, for the most part. When you get married, that's gonna shift. It's gonna be something different. But don't get complacent. Don't get complacent out of bitterness, anger, shame, or anything that happened because of past experiences, past heartbreak. Don't get complacent because of that. Don't get stagnant because of that. Don't make up your mind and say that you're gonna remain single for the rest of your life if that's not what God called you to do. Some people do have the gift, and most people don't. That's what it is. So don't get complacent. Have a wonderful night. Thank you for being here. Thank you for stopping by. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May he make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. Have a lovely night. God bless you.